A single mom's sacrifices. Life hadn't been easy for Lisa, but her love for her 10-year-old son, Danny, gave her all the motivation she needed to keep going. A single mom living in a modest apartment on the outskirts of town, Lisa worked tirelessly as a waitress at a local diner. The job was demanding, long hours on her feet, dealing with difficult customers, and barely scraping by with tips, but it kept a roof over their heads and food on the table. Lisa's dreams had once been much bigger. As a young woman, she had aspired to become a photographer, capturing the beauty of life through her lens. But when Danny came into her life, everything changed. Danny's father had left before he was even born, and Lisa had been forced to put her dreams on hold to provide for her son. Despite the hardships, she never regretted her decision. Danny was her world, and his smile made every sacrifice worthwhile. Danny, a bright and thoughtful boy, adored his mom. He knew how hard she worked and noticed the toll it took on her. Her hands were often calloused, her feet sore, and her face lined with exhaustion. Yet, Lisa never complained. She would tuck Danny in every night with a kiss and a whispered promise, "One day, things will get better." Danny wished he could help. He hated seeing his mom work so hard while others seemed to have it easier. She rarely bought anything for herself, always prioritizing Danny's needs. Birthdays and holidays were simple affairs, with Lisa giving handmade gifts or small treats she could afford. But Danny never felt deprived, his mom's love made every day feel special. As Mother's Day approached, Danny was determined to do something extraordinary for Lisa. He wanted to show her just how much he appreciated everything she had done for him. But there was one problem: he didn't have any money. His allowance was meager, and what little he had saved wouldn't buy much. Still, he was determined to find a way. Danny spent hours brainstorming ideas. He thought about buying her flowers, but they were expensive and wouldn't last long. Jewelry was out of the question, and he couldn't cook anything fancy without risking a fire. Frustrated but undeterred, Danny turned to his favorite spot for inspiration, the small bookshelf in their living room. The bookshelf held a mix of items, a few worn novels, a handful of picture frames, and an old photo album Lisa had put together when Danny was a baby. Flipping through the album, Danny was struck by an idea. He would make something personal, something from the heart. Danny decided to create a scrapbook, a collection of memories, drawings, and heartfelt notes that would show Lisa just how much she meant to him. It wouldn't cost a dime, but it would be filled with love. He began gathering supplies, colored paper from his school art projects, old photos, and markers from his pencil case. For weeks, Danny worked in secret, staying up late after Lisa had gone to bed to piece together the scrapbook. He wrote letters thanking her for her sacrifices, drew pictures of their favorite moments together, and even included silly little coupons offering free hugs and one chore-free day. But Danny wasn't done. He wanted to add something extra, something that would make the gift truly unforgettable. He remembered his mom mentioning her favorite actor, Keanu Reeves, during one of their rare movie nights. She had spoken about how much she admired his kindness and humility. That gave Danny another idea. He would write to Keanu Reeves, hoping the actor might somehow respond and make his mom's day even more special. Danny didn't know if the letter would ever reach Keanu, but that didn't matter. He poured his heart into it, explaining how amazing his mom was and how much she admired the actor. He mailed it with a mix of hope and doubt, unsure if anything would come of it. As Mother's Day drew closer, Danny couldn't wait to give Lisa his gift. He didn't know if Keanu Reeves would reply, but he hoped the scrapbook alone would show his mom how much she was loved. What Danny couldn't predict was that his heartfelt gesture would set off a chain of events that would change their lives forever. The handmade gift. Danny poured his heart into the scrapbook, determined to make it the most meaningful gift his mom had ever received. Every night after Lisa went to bed, he would tiptoe into the living room, pull out his supplies, and get to work. He spread out photos from their family album, colored paper, markers, and stickers he had saved from school projects. His tiny hands worked diligently, carefully cutting, gluing, and arranging each piece. The scrapbook became a labor of love. Danny included photos of the two of them at the park, on the couch watching movies, and at his school events where Lisa had always cheered the loudest. Under each photo, he wrote captions like, "The best mom in the world," or "You make me happy every day." In between the photos, he wrote heartfelt letters thanking her for everything she had done. One letter read, "Dear Mom, I know you work so hard for me. I see it every day, and I want you to know how much I love you. You always say things will get better, but they already are because I have you. I'm so lucky to be your son." Danny also drew pictures of their life together, simple stick figures of him and Lisa laughing, eating dinner, and playing in the park. He added playful touches like glitter, stickers of flowers and stars, and even a pop-up heart he had learned to make in art class. As the pages filled up, Danny felt more and more excited. He couldn't wait to see the look on his mom's face when she opened it. One evening, while Danny worked on the scrapbook, he overheard Lisa talking on the phone. She was laughing, a rare sound these days. Curious, Danny tiptoed closer to listen. Lisa was talking to her friend, sharing how much she had enjoyed watching a Keanu Reeves movie the night before. "I've always admired him," Lisa said, her voice warm with admiration. "He seems like such a genuine, kind person. It's not just about his movies, he just seems real, you know? Meeting someone like that would be a dream." Danny's ears perked up. Lisa didn't often talk about her own dreams. Most of her conversations revolved around work or Danny's school. Hearing her excitement planted an idea in his mind: what if he could make that dream come true? The next day, Danny stayed after school to ask his teacher how he could write a letter to Keanu Reeves. Mrs. Martinez, his kind-hearted teacher, was surprised but touched by Danny's determination. She helped him find the address of Keanu's talent agency online, explaining that while there was no guarantee the letter would reach the actor, it was worth a try. Danny spent the next evening writing the letter. He sat at the kitchen table, his tongue sticking out in concentration as he carefully formed each word. He wrote about his mom, her hard work, and how much she admired Keanu Reeves. He told the actor about the scrapbook he was making and how he wanted to make his mom's Mother's Day extra special. His letter read, "Dear Mr. Reeves, my name is Danny, and I'm 10 years old. My mom is the best mom ever. She works so hard for me and never asks for anything for herself. She says you are her favorite actor because you're kind and real. I'm making her a scrapbook to tell her how much I love her, but if you could even say hi to her, it would make her so happy. Thank you for being someone my mom admires. I hope this letter finds you." Danny folded the letter neatly, placed it in an envelope, and addressed it to the talent agency. With his allowance, he bought a stamp and mailed it the next morning on his way to school. As the letter disappeared into the mailbox, Danny felt a flutter of hope. He didn't know if it would ever reach Keanu Reeves, let alone if the actor would respond. But he didn't care. He had done something special for his mom, and that was what mattered. Over the following weeks, Danny continued working on the scrapbook, pouring all his creativity and love into every page. When it was finally complete, he wrapped it carefully in colorful paper he had saved from his birthday. He couldn't wait for Mother's Day to arrive. He hoped the gift would show Lisa how much she was loved and appreciated. Unbeknownst to Danny, his heartfelt letter had indeed reached Keanu Reeves. And what would happen next would forever change the lives of Danny and his mom, Lisa. Using fame for good. Despite his newfound wealth and recognition, Marcus never forgot where he came from. He knew how difficult it was for underprivileged artists to find opportunities, and he vowed to use his platform to make a difference. Marcus launched the Resilience Art Fund, a foundation dedicated to supporting emerging artists from marginalized communities. The fund provided grants, mentorship programs, and access to art supplies and spaces. Marcus also partnered with local schools to introduce art programs for children, ensuring that creativity was nurtured in the next generation. He opened his own gallery, one that welcomed artists of all backgrounds. The gallery became a hub for innovation and inclusion, showcasing works that might otherwise have been overlooked. Marcus made it a point to mentor young artists, sharing his journey and encouraging them to pursue their dreams despite the obstacles. 4. A legacy of empowerment. Marcus's fame continued to grow, but his true satisfaction came from seeing the impact of his work. At an exhibition hosted by his gallery, a young artist approached him, clutching a sketchbook nervously. "You're the reason I'm here," she said, her voice trembling. "I saw your story and believed that maybe I could do this too." Marcus smiled, remembering his own journey. "You can," he said warmly. "And I can't wait to see what you create." The moment was a reminder of why he had fought so hard. Marcus's rise to fame wasn't just about proving Harold Blevins wrong, it was about proving to himself and the world that art could change lives. And now, he was helping others write their own stories of resilience and triumph. Marcus's journey was far from over, but as he stood in his bustling gallery surrounded by vibrant art and inspired faces, he knew he had already achieved something extraordinary. The turn of tables. Years after the fateful rejection at Blevins' gallery, Marcus had transformed into a force to be reckoned with in the art world. His paintings were celebrated globally, commanding millions at auctions and exhibitions. But Marcus wasn't content with his personal success, he wanted to use his influence to foster a more inclusive art scene. To do so, he began acquiring galleries and transforming them into spaces where diverse talent could thrive. 1. Marcus's vision for change. Marcus's goal was clear: to dismantle the gatekeeping practices of traditional art galleries and create opportunities for underrepresented artists. He used the profits from his art sales and investments to purchase struggling galleries in major cities. Each space was revamped, not only physically but in philosophy, becoming a beacon of inclusivity. His galleries gained a reputation for showcasing groundbreaking talent and giving voices to artists who had been overlooked. The spaces thrived, attracting art lovers and collectors who valued innovation and diversity. Marcus's efforts reshaped the industry, proving that inclusion and creativity could lead to immense success. 2. Harold's downfall. Meanwhile, Blevins' gallery, once a symbol of prestige, was floundering. Harold Blevins had refused to adapt to the changing tides of the art world. His stubborn adherence to outdated, elitist practices alienated younger audiences and marginalized artists. Sales dwindled, and the gallery's reputation suffered. Desperate to save his failing business, Harold began seeking investors. When he received an anonymous offer to purchase the gallery outright, he saw it as his last chance to salvage his legacy. The offer was generous, far more than the gallery was currently worth. Harold eagerly scheduled a meeting with the potential buyer, imagining a wealthy investor looking to restore the gallery's former glory. 3. The meeting. On the day of the meeting, Harold was seated in his opulent but eerily quiet gallery, nervously reviewing the paperwork. When Marcus walked in, dressed sharply and carrying an air of quiet confidence, Harold didn't recognize him at first. "Ah, you must be the investor," Harold began, extending his hand. "Thank you for considering this opportunity. Blevins' gallery has a long history of excellence." Marcus shook his hand and took a seat, a faint smile playing on his lips. "I'm familiar with its history," he said calmly. "Very familiar." Something in Marcus's tone made Harold pause. He squinted at the man before him, trying to place his face. Marcus let the silence linger for a moment before continuing. "Do you remember me, Mr. Blevins?" Marcus asked, his voice steady but laced with emotion. "A few years ago, I came here with my portfolio, hoping for a chance. You told me my work was amateurish, chaotic. You said I didn't belong in this market." Recognition dawned on Harold's face, followed by disbelief. "You're Marcus?" he stammered. "The artist?" Marcus leaned back, his smile growing. "Yes, the same Marcus whose work you mocked. The same Marcus whose art now hangs in galleries around the world, selling for millions." Harold's face turned pale. He fumbled for words, his usual arrogance replaced by unease. I didn't mean." "You didn't mean to dismiss me? To belittle me?" Marcus interrupted, his voice firm but calm. "It's fine. That rejection was the best thing that ever happened to me. It fueled my drive, and now I'm here to return the favor. 4. A deal with a twist. Harold shifted uncomfortably in his chair, realizing he had no leverage. Marcus's offer was still on the table, but the dynamic had shifted entirely. I would like to make amends, Harold said, his voice trembling. Perhaps we could work together. Your success could restore this gallery. Marcus shook his head. I'm not here to restore your gallery, Harold. I'm here to buy it, and to transform it. This space will no longer be a gatekeeping institution. It will become a haven for artists like the ones you ignored. Realizing he had no other options, Harold reluctantly agreed to sell. The deal was finalized, and with it, Marcus gained control of the gallery that had once turned him away. Harold, humiliated and defeated, left quietly, a shadow of the man who had once mocked Marcus. 5. A symbolic transformation. Under Marcus's leadership, the gallery underwent a dramatic transformation. The name Blevins Gallery was replaced with Resilience Art Space, a nod to the journey that had brought Marcus full circle. The space now showcased works from diverse artists, breaking barriers and celebrating creativity in all its forms. At the grand reopening, Marcus stood before a crowd of patrons, artists, and media. He shared his story, not as a tale of revenge, but as a testament to perseverance and the power of art to create change. This gallery once stood for exclusion, Marcus said. Today, it stands for inclusion, for talent, for the stories that deserve to be told. To every artist who has ever been dismissed, let this space remind you, your voice matters. The audience erupted in applause, and Marcus felt a deep sense of fulfillment. He had turned humiliation into triumph, not just for himself, but for countless others who would now have the opportunities he once lacked. A hub for inclusive art. As the gallery reopened, it quickly became a hub for diverse, innovative art. Marcus curated exhibitions that brought together artists from all walks of life, breaking down barriers and fostering collaboration. Harold worked diligently behind the scenes, assisting with logistics and learning from Marcus's inclusive approach to curation. Over time, Harold earned the respect of the staff and artists. He became a mentor to younger gallery workers, openly sharing his mistakes and emphasizing the importance of equity in the art world. Marcus, meanwhile, saw the gallery's success as a testament to the power of transformation, not just of spaces, but of people. 5. A full circle moment. At an annual gala celebrating the gallery's success, Harold stood alongside Marcus as they welcomed a packed room of patrons and artists. Marcus gave a heartfelt speech about the journey that had brought them to this moment. Change isn't easy, Marcus said. But it's necessary. This gallery stands as proof that redemption and growth are possible. Together, we can create a world where every artist has a voice. The audience erupted into applause. As the event continued, Marcus and Harold stood together, watching the room buzz with creativity and collaboration. Thank you for giving me this chance, Harold said quietly. Don't thank me, Marcus replied with a small smile. Thank the artists who showed us what's possible. The story ended not with animosity, but with a shared commitment to building a better future. Harold had learned from his mistakes, and Marcus had transformed both the gallery and the man who once mocked him. Together, they had created a legacy of inclusion, proving that even the deepest divides could be bridged with understanding, humility, and a shared vision. Redemption and reconciliation. The transformation of the former Blevins Gallery into the Resilience Art Space was almost complete. Marcus had envisioned a space that welcomed artists of all backgrounds and celebrated creativity without bias. But as the grand reopening approached, there was one unresolved matter: Harold Blevins himself. 1. The confrontation. Marcus arranged a meeting with Harold at the newly renovated gallery. The walls were no longer adorned with the cold, impersonal pieces Harold had once curated. Instead, they showcased vibrant, diverse works that told stories of struggle, hope, and resilience. Harold entered hesitantly, the weight of his failures evident in his hunched posture. He barely resembled the arrogant man Marcus had met years ago. So, Marcus began, his voice steady but direct. This is the gallery now. A place where every artist, regardless of their background, can feel seen and valued. Harold nodded slowly, taking in the changes. It's incredible, he admitted, his voice subdued. You've done what I couldn't. What I should have done. Marcus studied Harold for a moment. Why didn't you? Why did you dismiss me, and so many others? Harold sighed, his shoulders sagging. I was blind, he admitted. Stuck in an outdated mindset. I thought I knew what real art was, but all I was doing was gatekeeping. Your success has shown me how wrong I was. 2. A humble apology. Harold's voice trembled as he continued. I owe you an apology, Marcus. Not just for the way I treated you, but for the countless artists I ignored. I see now how much talent I let slip through my fingers, because of my own biases. Marcus felt a flicker of satisfaction, but also compassion. Seeing Harold's genuine remorse reminded him of the growth he himself had undergone. An apology is a start, Marcus said. But words aren't enough. Change takes action. Harold nodded earnestly. I want to be part of that change. If you'll let me. 3. A second chance. The idea of keeping Harold involved in the gallery was one Marcus hadn't seriously considered. But as he looked at the older man, he saw someone humbled and willing to learn. Marcus decided to give him a chance, not out of pity, but as an opportunity to help dismantle the very system Harold had upheld. You can stay, Marcus said, but not as the gallery owner you once were. You'll work under my leadership, and you'll be part of creating something better. This isn't about you or me, it's about the artists who deserve this space. Harold's eyes widened in surprise. I don't deserve this kindness, he said. It's not kindness, Marcus replied firmly. It's accountability. You have a chance to do better. Don't waste it.